Hi everyone, Eddie Atkins from Tulip. I lead our alliances and ecosystem across EMEA. So work very closely with our partners, but really working with partners and our ecosystem is about working with customers and making value for their customers. So still a lot of value-based working together and solving problems and part of our ecosystem. So great to be here and have a quick chat how we're working together and why the value comes from ecosystem.
If you look at manufacturing right now, top of class is obviously 100% of the assets connected. But in practice, what we're seeing is much closer to like 30-40%. And so all this data you got and all the decisions you make have a lot of uncertainty because you just don't know almost all those things. Where FlowFuse really applies is connecting those things and making the data available to other systems, mostly IT. So an MES or other composable applications within the industry.
We know many assets are very different at different ages, like some have modern connectivity stacks, some have no connectivity stacks, and you need a platform to be able to sit there and handle all those different elements.
Yeah, and this is just backwards compatibility, but also think about forwards compatibility because you just don't know what in the next decade will be introduced. And that's another vector where you need a layer to make that agnostic and to abstract away the harsh realities of OT and make the data IT.
From our side, from the MES side, we also see that a lot of the data is often not collected. So we're not an out of the box MES that you have to fix your process to. We come and build applications that fix to your process. So we're collecting a lot of additional contextual information that might have ended up in someone's head or on a piece of paper previously. So
and it also makes the onboarding journey much more relevant for the manufacturer, right? You can start and piecemeal increase your observability of what processes do and also increase the understanding of your process and thus improve the process itself.
So I think probably the question on a lot of our customers' minds is, you're both platforms, why do you have a partnership? You're both, why do you have to have a partnership? What does that mean?
Yeah, so you all got to play to your strengths. And I think the real strength for composable applications, especially the operator and user-facing ones, Tulip at this stage, the data acquisition and applying OT knowledge to connect all the assets to IT infrastructure, that's where FlowFuse is relevant. And this is one of those standard better together stories because without a use case for the data, there is no FlowFuse, and without the data, there's no MES.
Yeah. I think it's very, very clear that not one platform can solve everything. Why we exist together is we're both open in the way we architect. It's easy for us to integrate and share data both backwards and forwards, and you as a layer to collect data into the MES. So it's very powerful. We've got a customer with various machines on the line. They've got operators moving tasks. Let's walk them through from collecting data up to the MES and back down again.
Yeah, so if you just start at the edge where the data is generated, now you have multiple machines that were over many decades purchased. And so they all talk a different protocol and they're all operated by different people as well. So there's a lot of knowledge which is implicit. And with FlowFuse, there's a step there to extract that knowledge and make it available, contextualize that data, and then publish that out to whatever infrastructure for your data you have, whether that's a UNS or you still use point-to-point connections, and then making sure that you can use that data for the operators where Tulip applies, but also for OT and the operator to collaborate on understanding where are we going with this process, because the status quo of today is not where you want to be tomorrow. And what we're really seeing in the market is that the constant iterations, even if it's small steps every day, after a couple of weeks, you're miles ahead of where you were, even if you take these smaller steps.
Yeah, that for us is super important, that iterative mode. And I think that comes from software engineering and maybe something that manufacturing's been left behind. Like software that comes to manufacturing is normally big and monolithic and used to having to configure it versus trying to be agile. So as a platform, we enable that for our customers. And I think there's this way of integrating easily, but then being able to start simple and iterate from there into a full composed solution that covers your operation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the true downside of off-the-shelf MES or an ERP, really. Like, you need to adjust it anyway to your process, and you don't want to buy what made sense for the previous customer. You want to buy what makes sense for you and implement that to optimize your own manufacturing. So that's where the composability and the iteration really makes a lot of sense. On the human aspect, the biggest impact that we usually see is that people have hunches. They have all these ideas of how they can improve processes or how they can perform better. And now they have a tool to actually understand if that hunch is correct or just disregard this altogether. On a human level, having access to the data, understanding what it all means and what the caveats are of this data, that's the biggest step they can make. On the more organizational and ROI perspective, we've seen great success in buffer control. Like, how many buffers do you want between two stations? And if you look statistically at your outages of the past, what does it need to be to cover 99% of your outages? So with one customer, we were able to reduce 1 week's worth of material purchasing for a year by reducing buffers that they weren't gonna need anyway in the next year. That's just a huge ROI case. But there's many more ideas that are in the engineering's head and just you can't currently execute on because there's no framework, there's no process to get that out there.
I think the impact that we've seen with customers like this, the first one can just be transparency of, say it's a quality process, getting transparency of that data quickly, not having to wait till the following Monday morning for a report when the data's too low, but actually in real time, having traceability, then issues happened, being able to dig into the data and understand why it happens. Just that simple ability to respond to issues from that transparency can have a very large impact. What we're starting to see with some of our more advanced customers is bringing the data from the floor, like through a system like FlowFuse, but contextualizing it with Tulip data, and then maybe doing analytics with another ecosystem partner in the cloud, and then bringing those insights back to the floor, either to an operator to make a change on a machine, and maybe even directly. I don't know if you see any examples of actually bringing machine data back directly to a machine to make a settings change or something to optimize it.
Yeah, we do see a bunch of those, especially on the analytics that's used in the cloud, and then speeding up or slowing down certain lines or stations in the line. But also if you have a product which can, for example, have a defect halfway in production, rescheduling those, there we see great success as well. One of our customers makes windows, and if the glass shatters halfway through the process and this is a custom window, you want to schedule that window right away because there's still someone waiting on those. We do see those use cases be very effective. And then human operations and the operator feeding back to the machine what needs to happen. If it's not safety related, we've seen some success there as well.
Also on everyone's mind is AI. And I think this, for me, one of the really key elements of the ecosystem partners is we're an open platforms, we're setting up customer success for the future, like you said earlier. What are your perspectives on, like, how does this look as a partnership going forward with AI?
Yeah, with AI, there's two factors, right? Like, one is undeveloped time and one is at runtime. At runtime, we see limited ability for customers to currently apply it. There's a lot of traceability that's currently missing in the whole AI tool chain to make it useful in production. You don't want to slow down a machine because AI said so and no one understands which agent made which decision, why. And so there's a couple of missing pieces on the AI on production time, on runtime. We have some early customers trialing, hey, how would this make sense a year from now? But current tooling, for example, MCP is not ready yet for enterprise adoption. Where we see much bigger opportunities right now is on develop time. And the fact that FlowFuse and Node-RED are open source has helped us tremendously here because the models already know the context. We can ingest much more into the context about, hey, you're using a UNS, other flows look like this, these are the standard tool this customer is using. And with that, we have the ability to generate full flows and integrations based on a
to
text
accelerate the adoption of
exactly.
connectivity.
And we see an incredible acceleration. Like you can now connect a whole machine within a couple of hours, and also with an OT engineer that has limited understanding of what the IT infrastructure is like, but the IT we can ingest in the knowledge of that we can ingest through a model, and that's been a huge time saver.
I think what I'm seeing as well is also the importance of the platform approach. In you're going to want to deploy this like agentic supported connectivity agent, but you need somewhere to deploy it, you need somewhere to run it, you need somewhere to be able to observe it and make sure that it's still working. So I think open platforms are going to become even more valuable from that perspective, because you're going to be able to develop things quickly with AI, but you still need somewhere to deploy them in an enterprise framework that's secure.
And then longer term, that openness has more knowledge in just general for people around, and so the maintainability cost decreases as well. Whereas if just the price of integration would have collapsed like it is now, but the maintainability cost would have doubled, then you'd be still in the hole. Whereas now we see both factors just increase rapidly.
Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see everything that FlowFuse has to offer, then click the link in the description below and head on over to flowfuse.com to start your free 14-day trial. Big thanks to Tulip for being part of this video. If you'd like to check them out, then head on over to tulip.co. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.